Or it's code, I mean.
That
I
wasn't
think he's got
exactly
that
what I
problem
meant.
that I have at home where the software in his computer can't get rid of the green
Better. Oh,
background.
much
Okay.
and
better. Much better.
I like the floating head though.
Ed.
30 seconds. $5:30.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 5:30 and I will call this regular meeting of the Burnsville City Council to order. The clerk, please note that all council members are present. We always begin our meetings with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we invite you to join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in the season of COVID, and our city council meeting is coming to you virtually. All council members and our staff are joining in electronically. You know, since COVID, we've been creative and innovative to ensure that we continue to serve our community and to do the work of the people. So members of the public, you may watch the meeting online on burnsvillemn.gov/meeting or Comcast channel 16 or 859. If you would like to speak during the meeting, you may call 651-372-8299. You may also speak by joining us online at zoom.us/join. More information is available on our meeting's webpage and in the council agenda packet. Please note there is an audio delay if you are watching us on TV or online. So if you speak, please mute your video broadcast first. If Zoom meeting attendees experience audio issues, we ask you to leave the meeting and log back in. This usually resolves the problem. So the next item on the agenda is announcements and proclamations. Our announcements have to do with all of our upcoming meetings. Regular council meetings are scheduled for Tuesday, June 16th at 5:30 p.m. and Tuesday, July 7th at 5:30 p.m. And we have a work session that's scheduled for Tuesday, June 9th at 5:30 p.m. Over the next few weeks, we will begin having some meetings at City Hall again as we prepare to open city facilities. Please check the meeting agenda or call City Hall if you have any questions about how to participate in any of our upcoming meetings. So this evening, we have a proclamation for our graduating Burnsville students. And then we also have one of the great events of the year that we always look forward to, and that is I Love Burnsville Essay Contest. And this year it's going to be I Belong in Burnsville Essays. But let's go to the proclamation first. We're celebrating 2020 high school graduates. Whereas 2020 has been a year of unprecedented circumstances which have prohibited typical high school graduation, year-end activities and celebrations due to the COVID-19 health emergency. And whereas the 2020 Burnsville graduates include 614 students from ISD 191, 84 students from ISD 194, and 163 students from ISD 196. Whereas Burnsville high school seniors have exhibited incredible strength, resiliency, and persistence and it is important to acknowledge the challenging situation being presented to them and honor their hard work. And whereas the class of 2020 contains students who have achieved to their utmost in academic, agriculture, athletics, business, engineering, theater, music programs, and more, and they will be our future leaders, innovators, motivators, and role models. And whereas graduation is typically a time to gather and celebrate this important milestone, and whereas we encourage families, friends, and neighbors to take time to safely congratulate the graduates in our community, recognize their achievements, and honor them in their journey of education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Elizabeth Couts, Mayor of the City of Burnsville, on behalf of the City Council, formally recognize and congratulate the Burnsville 2020 high school graduates in 196, 191, and 194. We applaud their achievements and strengths and wish them all the best success as they move forward into the next chapter of their lives, proclaimed this second day of June 2020. And now, welcome, Mr. Kelly, and you need to unmute yourself. This is the time that we talk about the great work that our students have made. And I want to thank Firefly and Mr. Marty Kelly from Firefly, the Chief Marketing Officer and Senior VP, who has helped us these many years to judge, and I enjoy our assignment to judge all of the essays. So this evening, you're going to announce our winners.
Yes.
And then our honorable mentions. And I think it's appropriate for you to call on them. And then they will come and then they will read their essays. We're having the winners read.
Right.
So,
well, Mayor Couch, you stole my thunder. I wanted to thank you and your team. I know this year we were faced with some challenges in judging, and I think real early on we were questioning whether or not we should do the essay, and I'm so glad we pursued it, because it is easily one of my favorite times of the year, is spending time with you and your team and reading some really great work. It gets better every year. Our job gets a little harder every year. But the students came through once again. We read fantastic essays. We had some, even though they're all really, really good, we had some also very clear winners. And I can see a few of their names out there, and I guess we can announce the winners. And then if it's all right, I can introduce them and they'll just read ahead. So yes. Our first winner is from William Byrne. Oh, and by the way, these are all third graders. Our first winner is from William Byrne. It's Ashlyn Hansen, and Ashlyn is a student of Mrs. Jessica Davidson. So Ashlyn, take it away.
Should I start reading?
Please.
I belong in Burnsville, and I love my community because we moved the first week of September on Friday, 2019. I could already tell it was better than my old neighborhood. When we moved, people stopped by our house to say hello. They're really nice and easy to talk to. Their neighborhood parties have been invited to. Maybe when this is over, we'll go to one. When we almost lost our dog, my neighbors came out of their houses to help us find our dog. And when I went to school, kids from my class were already asking to be my friend. The teachers are very nice and kind, especially my second grade teacher, Miss Tamala. She helped me a lot. She introduced me to class and she made me feel comfortable. We went to a Christmas tree lighting. There were free food, hot cocoa, and singing. It was so pretty seeing all the lights glowing in the night sky. That summer, I went to Red Oak Summer Camp. It was really fun. I met new kids, and the staff are very nice. We played games, did crafts, watched movies when it rained, and more. And at the end of camp, we had a big party. We also go to the YMCA. I played basketball, and my brothers did other sports too. My mom and me like to go on walks. Where we live, there are a lot of places to walk. One night, there were a lot of lightning bugs. We tried to catch some. We see more animals around the neighborhood: eagles, turkeys, beavers, frogs, and much more. I'm very happy that my family moved to Burnsville. The community is very kind, helpful, and I am very glad I live here. That's it.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Ashlyn.
Ashlyn. Notice we awarded you that even though you called them lightning bugs instead of fireflies, which is the preferred term we have down the street here. But wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you so much. Ashlyn will be the recipient of $50. I will get that to you if you don't have it already, as well as Mrs. Davidson will get $50 to apply towards use in the classroom for next year. Our second winner of $50 is from Edward Neal School, a student of Ms. Engdahl, and it is Levi Williams. Is Levi with us today?
Hi. I belong in Burnsville and love my community because it has great first responders, it has nice parks, and my family has lived here since 1863. Burnsville's great first responders are police, firefighters, and EMTs. I see them helping people in car crashes, and they are really nice when firefighters have their open houses. They are very friendly. Burnsville has nice parks like Sunset Pond, Neal Park, and the skate park. My mom and I like to ride our bikes around Sunset Pond. In the winter, I ice skate and sled at Neal Park. I love to skateboard at the skate park. It has friendly skateboarders and cool ramps. I love Burnsville because my grandpa's family was one of the first families of Burnsville. My great-great-grandpa bought farmland after the Civil War. My grandma and aunts still live on some of the land. Burnsville is a great place to live because it has fabulous people.
Levi, does your mom and dad tell you all those stories about your family legacy? You're a historian.
Wonderful job. I'll admit I thought it was a typo, and then I had to go back to, yes, it was 1862. Fantastic, Levi.
Yeah.
Wonderful job. You are also the recipient of $50, as is your teacher, Miss Engdahl. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Our third and final winner is from Edward Neal School. Mr. Luke Berth is the teacher, and Aiden Perez is the student. Aiden, are you with us?
Yes, hi.
Go ahead.
I belong in Burnsville and I love my community because I take care of Burnsville because it's my home and home for over 61,000 people too. Burnsville must be a huge house because that is a lot of people. Burnsville is clean and beautiful. That is why I do not litter, so that Burnsville keeps looking beautiful like a huge clean house. I am doing my part. I invite you to do your part too. I love my community because it's great, welcoming, and friendly. Just like the people that work at Firefly Credit Union, they make you feel like family. That is why I love my community, and not only I belong in Burnsville, you belong in Burnsville too.
Yay.
Wonderful job, Aiden. Thank you so much. We loved your how you related Burnsville to a big clean house.
Thank you.
Nicely done, very creative. And the honorable mentions will not be reading their essays, but we want to acknowledge them, correct? That
Yes.
Those honorable mentions will be receiving $25 checks to both them and their teacher. From Edward Neal School, we have Mallory Peters. Mallory, are we going to see your face? Are you on the screen? There's Mallory. Give us a wave, Mallory. We'll give you a round of applause. Congratulations, young lady. And our second honorable mention is Gabriella Paul from Gideon Pond School, teacher Miss Andrea Tretow. And there's Gabriella. Nice work, Gabriella.
Oh, wonderful. Now, Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
how will they be receiving their checks and certificates?
If they haven't already, those checks and certificates are available at our Burnsville office. Just stop by our branch. They are waiting for you. They've got envelopes with your names on it. That goes to the teachers too. If the teachers are here, they can pick up their checks as well. We're happy to get them in your hands as soon as possible. You got all summer to spend that money, youngins. So go ahead and get to it.
Yeah. Now, if all, Megan, if all of the students and their teachers can come on so that we can take a Zoom picture. There's Mr. Hume, Mr. Burt. There's all of the students. Do we have all of them? Oh, there we see Levi. Ashlyn is on. Mallory, there's Aiden. Is Mrs. Tretow in? Did she? Okay, no. All right. Do we have everybody? Okay, Megan, are you taking this photograph?
Yes, I can take this picture best I can here. So everyone smile for just a moment. And I think our BCTV folks will try and capture a few photos as well. And looks great. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you, students and teachers. It's Mr. Kelly and I always enjoy this. And we did social distance also while we were doing our work. But you know, every year we have so much fun. And as he mentioned earlier, it gets tougher and tougher every year because, and Mrs. Ingdahl, you have great students. Is this your third win or students that have won?
I think I have had 5 to 6 of them over the years when it first started. Yeah.
I know. Well, they write well.
They're great students. You know, these are congratulations to all you third graders. So proud of all of you. And thank you, Firefly Credit Union. Thank you. Wonderful opportunity for them.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful. Thank you, students. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, teachers. It's wonderful to have you all here. And thank you, Dr. Battle and Abigail, for being here this evening. Really appreciate your joining us as we celebrate our graduates from Burnsville and all of the 3 school districts that are in Burnsville. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We will now move on to the next item on our agenda. And this is for citizens' comments. This is the opportunity for anyone to speak to the council on any item that is not on the printed agenda and not an application form that will be coming before us at a future date. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council? Anyone? I don't see that anyone wishes to address the council. So we will now move on. The next item is for emergency items only, and this is additions to the final agenda. Mrs. Mescoli, do we have any emergency items?
We do not, Madam Mayor.
Members of the council, do you have an emergency item? Okay, we will move on. The next item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a group of items that's considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. However, an item on the consent agenda can be removed for a separate discussion and vote. Does anyone want an item on the consent agenda to be removed for a separate discussion and vote? Okay, I'm checking. Okay. Ms. Mescoli?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, does the council want to pull an item for a separate discussion and vote? All right, with that, may I have a motion, please, to adopt the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Councilmember Gustafson makes the motion. I need a second, you guys.
Second.
Councilmember Schultz seconds the motion. The clerk, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Gustafson,
Unmute Councilmember Gustafson.
I did unmute. Aye.
Mayor Couts,
Aye.
Councilmember Keeley,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz. Yes. Councilmember Workman.
Aye.
And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We now move on to the regular agenda. And the regular agenda is the appointment of our advisory commissions. And so this evening, we're pleased, we did hold interviews for candidates, and we did that well, we interviewed the candidates. Ms. Collins, when did we interview the candidates? I think it was in May.
Yes, Madam Mayor. The interviews were May 11th.
Yeah, okay. I was looking for it on my sheet and I didn't see it. So for Economic Development Commission, Councilmember Gustafson, can you
Madam
please?
Mayor, I am proud to nominate for Economic Development Brady Folkstead as a regular member, term ending 6/2023. Jeff LaFar as a regular member, term ending 6/2023. Dan Kuklik as a regular member, ending 6/2023. Al Anderson from alternate to regular member with a term ending 6/23, and welcoming Laura Schmidt as an alternate member, term ending 6/2021.
Okay, thank you so much. May I have a motion to adopt the slate?
Motion
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, Councilmember Workman makes the motion, second by Councilmember Keeley. The clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Gustafson. Councilmember Gustafson.
Unmute. There you
It
go.
happened again. Aye.
Mayor Couch.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeley.
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Parks and Natural Resource Commission, Councilmember Schultz, would you please make the nominations?
Certainly. So for Parks and Natural Resources, we have Annie McGuire, regular member, whose term would end on 6/2023. We have Dana Arnold, regular member, term ending 6/2023. Gary Donaldson, regular member, term ending 6/2023. And Michael Angara, youth member, term ending 6/2021.
May I have a motion to adopt the slate of commissions for the Parks and Natural Resource Commission, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Gustafson.
When it switches screens, it turns me back to mute again. Back to mute. Aye.
Mayor Couch.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeley.
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Aye. Where did Keeley go?
I don't know. Planning Commission. Councilmember Workman, would you please read the slate?
It would be my honor to appoint Ali Awad as a regular member with term expiring 6/2023, and Nick Anderson as an alternate member ending 6/2023.
May I have a motion to adopt the slate?
Move to adopt.
Councilmember Gustafson makes the motion.
Second my own motion.
Yeah, Councilmember Workman seconds the motion. The clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Gustafson.
Aye.
Mayor Couch.
Aye.
Councilmember Keeley.
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz. Councilmember Workman.
Aye.
Okay, and now we move on to 5B, and this is for the COVID-19 response update. Our city manager, Mrs. Melanie Mescali.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. This has been an item we've placed as a standing agenda item for the council and for the community to provide some periodic updates on our response to COVID-19. Tonight, we will have updates by our Fire Chief, BJ Jungman, and our Deputy City Manager, Greg Lindberg. Turn it over to Fire Chief Jungman.
Thank you, Melanie. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm having some video challenges, you can see. I haven't quite got a new look.
Yes, you've got some brick around your face.
Yeah, so you can't see whether or not I got a haircut yet. So, just I'll take a couple minutes here to give you a high-level overview of kind of what's going on in the fire department in relation to COVID. So if we could go to the next slide. COVID-19 has changed a lot for our firefighters, and they've stepped up to the task, as you would expect, and continue to provide a high level of service to the community. But a number of things have changed. You can see on the picture on the left, firefighters are wearing surgical masks in the fire station. There's no way to completely social distance them when they're living together and putting them in a truck together responding. So unfortunately, they have to wear those masks, which aren't the most comfortable, but keep them safe. We've created a whole nother operations manual specific to what they need to do around COVID. As you can imagine, there's a lot of things that our paramedics need to be aware of and take care of. At the same time, we have to continue our training. So we're doing that in the safest manner possible. And we're also addressing some things like their boots. You wouldn't think about it, but that is one of the pieces that we found out can carry COVID. So they weren't wearing their boots in the fire station. So just a number of things like that have been addressed operationally. All right, next slide, please. The other thing that's changed and probably most visible to the public is if they call 911, they will get screened regardless of the 911 call type. What you see on here is an emergency medical dispatch card. So if it's a medical complaint, they will go through this screening to find out if they're have any COVID type symptoms so that our paramedics will know that ahead of time. But even if you call for a fire call or a police call, the folks out at the Dakota County Communication Center are doing a great job of screening those calls so that our first responders know ahead of time if anybody in that facility might have symptoms. All right, next slide. So as far as response goes, again, we're enhancing our personal protective equipment. You might see our folks get out and wearing gowns and N95 masks and all those kinds of things to keep them safe. Not the normal look that we sport going on calls, but given the current circumstances, it's what we need to do to keep our folks safe and keep the transmission low. We continue to work with our partners both in the PD and regionally to make sure that we are maintaining a high level response. And that includes the Fairview Ridges Hospital. As you know, we transport a lot of patients there and they have different protocols. All these hospitals have changed their protocols to deal with the transmission of COVID and make sure that we contain it and that they can provide safe care to both COVID and non-COVID patients. What I can tell you is that, for instance, Fairview Ridges Hospital in their emergency department has segregated units based on whether they're COVID patients or not, to make sure that we keep people safe and that they can get high quality care regardless of what they have going on, whether it's COVID related or not. So I would encourage people is if they're ill to still seek medical care because they can safely get that care. And all of our healthcare institutions are doing a great job to make sure they keep people safe. The other thing we're doing is reducing the number of staff we bring into scenes or into facilities to try to limit that exposure. All right, next slide, please. Again, there's just a picture of them wearing that protective equipment with the full gown and N95 mask and goggles. Again, that's based on best practices to make sure that we're keeping them safe. One of the challenges, as you probably heard about, is supply chain, and we continue to experience that, but we've got great staff working on that and great collaboration with like our partners at the state who have helped us get some equipment out of the strategic national stockpile, as well as our colleagues across the nation and finding alternative suppliers to find some of those things. We've gotten very creative and we've positioned ourselves quite well to make sure that we have enough protective equipment for now and into the future. As long as this COVID situation goes, we will continue to make sure that we maintain that. All right, next slide, please. although our call volume, if you're tracking our numbers, hasn't been up, what I can tell you is that the amount of time it takes us per call has gone up significantly. If we take a COVID type of patient, we do a significant amount of decontamination. So you see there on the left that they have to wear all the protective equipment while they decontaminate all the surfaces in the ambulance. And again, making sure it's safe for the next patient and for our staff. What you see on the right is there are some studies coming out prior to this, and we had started using this, but it's a drawer that has UV light, and it allows us to basically kill the virus using UV light. So we can put equipment in there, protective equipment, and reuse it. So there's some studies out and some information about UV light, and we're now using that to help decontaminate equipment and vehicles. So we've also learned a lot of things along the way. And that includes their uniforms. If they go on a COVID type of call, they're changing uniforms to make sure we don't transmit that disease. All right, next slide, please. What you see here is a lot of situation monitoring. I can tell you over the past few years, we've come a long, long ways with visual informatics. The bottom left is a dashboard that was created in-house by our own GIS staff. They've been phenomenal to work with, and they're aggregating data for us, and we can see it visually to help us monitor the situation and the amount of call volume that we're seeing. What you see in the upper right is what was between DCC and Logis. They created a heat map for us based on the COVID type of calls that are dispatched through DCC. So again, we're staying ahead of the situation and continually monitoring it, making sure that we're providing that high level of service to the community and protecting both our staff and our patients. So I'm very proud of the work that our folks are doing. They're performing at a very high level in these challenging times, and they're making sure that the community is taken care of throughout this. So like I said, I couldn't be more proud of our staff and what they're doing to handle this pandemic that's really unprecedented for us. So so we continue to move forward and continue to monitor the situation and adapt as we move forward. So with that, I'll stand for any questions you might have. That's what I have to share with you at a high level about our response.
Chief, I see that you had 400 and some calls. Was that just this last month? And how many were COVID?
Madam Mayor, that number on that screen was actually countywide from about a month ago. That was just a screen capture I put on there.
Okay.
I think the last I looked, we were over 200 COVID type of calls that DCC had dispatched the EMS units on within Burnsville. So
Okay.
I think we're in about the mid.
100 in Burnsville.
Yep, and that's since mid-March. So that's since we started tracking all this. It's aggregate.
Okay. And everyone is still healthy on your team?
Knock on wood, yep. They're still healthy, and we plan to keep them healthy.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Gentleman? I'm trying to see who has their hand up. Councilmember Schultz?
Thank you. So my question is, you were talking about how Dakota County on the dispatch, they are doing the call screening just to check for symptoms and that type of stuff to do that. Is that affecting the call response time in any way?
Councilmember Schultz and Council, thanks for that question. I haven't seen a significant increase in time, but I haven't specifically pulled those calls out standalone. I would imagine there is some slight delay, but I would tell you that they're used to using that emergency medical dispatch system, so I don't know that it's a significant amount. And if there's critical calls, it still pushes those out immediately. So cardiac arrest, things like that, and then that information will catch up as we go en route. So those critical calls are still being handled very expediently, and those lower acuity calls will get the information up front.
Great. So just so people are aware, even though you're having this care and all that kind of stuff, if someone makes a call and it is something, of quick emergency time, it's being dispatched and then they're going through that protocol. So people don't need to worry that there's any type of delay. Their needs are being met, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I
think it's a common misconception that if they're on the phone, they can't be dispatching them. And the nice part about the Dakota County Dispatch Center is it's called two-stage dispatching. So you have a call taker and a dispatcher. So we're getting the information as they're talking to them real time. So just because you're talking to the dispatcher doesn't mean that we're not heading their direction. So you are right on, is that they're still providing rapid service, even though they're still talking to the dispatch center. So those things happen concurrent or right alongside each other concurrently. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chief. Really great information. And I think it really helps our residents to understand that when they call, they know that the service is there to help them. So thank you. And please thank all of our firefighter paramedics for the work that they do in service to the community of Burnsville. Thank you.
thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Mr. Lindberg, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I want to give you just a quick update on where we are with our recovery efforts. As you're all aware, several weeks back, we brought together a group of staff leaders to talk about our roadmap to recovery. And we've just announced to staff today, as a matter of fact, that we're going to be using the month of June to move into step 2 of our plan. You might recall that our plan is a 3-step plan that really charts out how we get to our next normal. Step 2 is defined by us opening up things like some public meetings. Mary, you mentioned that earlier in your opening comments tonight, as well as returning some staff back to work who might have been working remotely, as well as considering how do we do things like appointment-based scheduling for public meetings, interactions with the public across our different divisions or departments. One thing that we've recognized about our roadmap to recovery and our recovery efforts in general is that we need to be adaptable and flexible. And we've talked about kind of how that works towards meeting the council's expectation of balance. To accomplish that, we've implemented some department plans. Really, they're documents that our department directors are working with their staff as we speak to create very operationally specific plans in the month of June to move us from where we are now into step 2 of our plan. That work's well underway. We have conversations going on in amongst staff, and we're continuing to use the considerations that we have been in our roadmap process, the status of the virus, how we're able to manage it, our organizational values, and your expectations and priorities when it comes to making good decisions about not only implementing step 2, but really thinking about how do we continue to provide the best possible experience to the public and enhance those experiences through what we've learned in this season of COVID-19. So we're working directly with our employees to not only meet their individual needs when it comes to some of that department planning, but most importantly, continue in Burnsville's tradition of providing the best possible service to the community and really creating great experiences for folks as we do it. Right now, specifically, staff's testing and figuring out how we will implement all of the appropriate social distance and measures to get the council back in chambers to start interacting in person again here shortly. So we're looking forward to that. And I certainly would be happy to stand for any questions that you all might have.
Ms. Mescali and Mr. Lindberg, I want to thank you for the great planning when we were tasked with COVID, and you put a plan in place. And thus far, I have not heard any complaints about service to our community. And even though we had a lot of to keep everyone healthy, you had a lot of folks working remotely. And so I want to thank you all for the great work that you've done and for keeping our employees safe and healthy and continuing their service to our community, because I don't think you have missed a step. So I want to thank you all for that. And you've got a great recovery plan. And so we've gone through phase 1 and now we're getting into phase 2. And thank you so much. It's going very well. So my compliments and deep appreciation for the work that you've done in keeping our staff healthy and safe. Anybody else? Any comments? I have
have my hand up.
yes, I have Councilmember Keeley first and then Councilmember Schultz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lindberg, there's been a lot of discussions with the athletic groups and getting our ball fields and that kind of stuff. Can you give us an update of where we're at on that in the past week? I think it's maybe about a week since we've had an update on that specifically, but is that moving forward? Do we have a date when we're going to have these fields available for any kind of activities by these clubs?
Councilmember Keeley, I might defer to the city manager on that question. She might have more up-to-date information than I do.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. That has been a work in progress, Councilmember Keeley. We've got a number of things in the works. Our arena is opening back up next week. Fields are, I believe, getting phased in to be used, but I will have to get some more details. I'll be happy to follow up with you and your colleagues tomorrow.
Thank you. Just want to keep tabs on how that's coming along. Thank you.
It is moving forward. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Public Works Director, Mr. Peterson, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that, Mr. Peterson?
I guess I would just add that the fields themselves have not been closed. So we don't have any signs out there saying you can't use the fields. So I just want to be clear on that they are not closed. And it's been a thing of, if they're allowed for all the different rules that are available to be out there, the volunteers may have to do a little bit more effort to get everything out there that they would be used to. We just don't necessarily have the same staff level to keep mowed twice a week, whatever. But we have not closed the fields. I just want to be clear on that.
Thank you. Maybe a clarification. So if a family of 4 or 5 or 6 wanted to go out and use the fields, they could. But as far as the athletic programs that are going to bring 100 people or so out to the fields, we've not allowed that, or we're working with them to bring that to happen. But they're not necessarily, even though the fields aren't closed, as you pointed out, Mr. Peterson, that doesn't mean that the athletic associations have been able to actually start playing and having league play and that kind of stuff, correct?
Yeah, I think we just need to clarify that I think it's the city isn't preventing that. It's the associations, the statewide stuff. It's not we haven't told them, no, you can't use them because we don't want you to. It is on it's at a higher level that's going on.
Part of the governor's executive order, essentially, correct? Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm in a really dark room here.
Okay. All right. I will now go to Councilmember Schultz.
As long as I saw our city manager had her hand up. I didn't know if she needed to add anything to that before I spoke.
We can't hear you very well, Councilmember Schultz.
I was saying that our city manager had her hand up, so I wasn't sure if she had something she wanted to add before I spoke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I just wanted to clarify, to Ryan's point, the fields aren't closed. What we have been doing, though, is partnering with our associations as they're able to return to organized activities, working with them so the fields can be used by them. So that might mean striping, that might mean moving goals, all of those sort of things that we would normally have seasonal staff doing. We're working with associations to help us with some of those elements. As far as what some of those parameters are, those are defined by the governor's orders, and that's what I'd be happy to follow up with you on.
Okay, very good. Councilmember Schultz.
The storm is rolling in, so I don't know if the signal is going or not. But I did want to compliment staff. In talking with colleagues in other cities, some of them have been a little jealous at how we've been able to keep our amenities accessible to our residents and also our services accessible to our residents, and the flexibility that council has been able to have on what we do is totally because of, the excellent work that staff has done. Because of staff, we have been able to be so much more flexible and quick moving, and So yeah, I'm happy that we're moving into phase 2. This is pretty exciting.
Okay. You want to lower your hand, Councilmember Schultz, or did you have a follow-up? Okay, very good. I don't see any more hands up. Any other comments? If not, members of the council, there are no other items to come before us this evening, and a motion to adjourn is in order.
I move.
Second.
Second.
Councilmember Schultz makes a motion.
Hey, we're waiting.
Second by Councilmember Gustafson. May the clerk please take the roll.
Councilmember Gustafson,
Aye.
Mayor Couts,
Aye.
Councilmember Keeley,
Aye.
Councilmember Schultz,
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Aye.
And we have a unanimous vote. And the item is passed, and we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and good night, and thank you for being with us.
Good night.